Hi everyone, welcome to our fifth and the last episode of the season 1. I'm your host Rustam, and today we're going to be discussing celebrating the wins and work-life balance in a team. So let's start! Jethro, as always,
Rustam.
nice seeing you here.
Hey man.
You're very welcome. Please, can you believe that this is our fifth and last episode of season 1?
Really? Season
Yes.
1 over already?
Yes,
Feels
it's
like
already over.
it feels like we've gotten unpacked so many things, but there's still so much more to talk about. But yeah, looking
Well,
forward to
don't worry. You'll still have chance to share your knowledge. So last time we talked about psychological safety with you, and you gave us great advice and very practical advices on what to do with your teams. And I actually had that situation in my team since we last talked, and I applied your advice and it worked great. We have a better relationship with the team. So thank you so much for this.
Absolutely, that's it's my pleasure, and it's always nice to meet your biggest fan, right? So
That's true. I'm your biggest fan. That's
thanks, man.
hands down.
Speaking of your team going well, a little bird told me that you named the team after yourself. Can you please share a little bit about that story? I'm sure our viewers are interested to know.
That's the biggest lesson I learned from you, Jethro. Name everything after yourself, and life is gonna be good. No, I'm kidding. It was a joke from one of my teammates in our team. And now, when we're trying to change the name, we created a poll with the names, and all the names are just derivation of my name in a very funny way. So I think it's gonna be a very long-running joke. But hey, if it works for the team, it works for the team.
Yeah, long live Team Rustam, right? Yeah.
Nice. So today we have something different prepared. So today we want to talk in our last episode, talk about work-life balance and celebrating the wins. And I know that you're great at celebrating your wins, so I'm looking forward for some of your advice.
Great, looking forward to it.
Cool.
Let's jump right in.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And here we are again, Jethro.
Good old table. Yeah.
Good old table. All right. So first question is about Elin today. There is a pressure on the team. There is a milestone approaching, so I think everyone's working quite hard to get things done, as it often happens in the teams. And you've noticed that Elin has been logging way too many hours. So for a couple of weeks, there's hours coming in the evenings, in the weekends. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think what's important to note here is this is obviously work-life balance, and if someone's putting a lot of time into work, that's not necessarily a bad thing to start off with, right? Because they might be happy in this kind of situation, and that's okay. But I would definitely check in with Elina and just say, hey, listen, I've noticed you've been logging a ton of hours, extra time. Obviously, to meet the deadline, it's helpful in that respect. I just want to make sure that you're not burning the candle at both ends, right? Because that can happen, and it's all good and well until it's not. Burnout is a real thing, and there's a lot of colleagues that I've met throughout the years who've suffered from burnout, and it's really led to a negative impact on their life, on their career. You don't want to be sacrificing your career for one deadline, right? It's not, a lot of the time the deadlines are important, but they're also not do or die. And it's good to remember that there's life after the deadline, and the deadline's there as a marker for us to try and reach. And it's not necessarily that you have to meet that or something terrible is going to happen, right? That's not normally the case. It can be the case if you're in a startup or something like that, but generally in this situation and in most organizations, it's more like the deadline's there and we will try and meet it to our best of our abilities, but no one should be working 30 or 40 extra hours a week. That's not healthy in the long term. So I would definitely speak to Aline and just say, hey, listen, it's okay to take some time for yourself. And if there's too many tasks and you feel like you're struggling, communicate that with the team, right? Because that's important. We spoke about last time about psychological safety, and I think everyone on the team should feel safe enough to mention that there's too much on their plate, or there's too many things going on, they're not coping, or there's just too much work for everyone to do, and we need more resources. And then that's a nice conversation to have then with business and say, listen, we've got this intense deadline, we only have so many people, unless we're forcing our team members to work double time, we're most likely not going to meet that deadline. So what can we do as a team? Can we strip down some of the requirements to make kind of like an MVP? What do we really need? Is there some stuff that we don't need to do right now? There's a lot of tactics around this where you take all your priorities and you list them up into categories of 1, 2, and 3. What they say generally is if everything in 1 and 2, you start off, but you say 1 you have to do, 2 you can do once one's finished, and then generally they say 3, there's the category 3 where it doesn't really matter. You can normally scrap that. So I'd also reevaluate my team. Do we have too many things on our plate? Can we reorder, reprioritize, right? And we can push some things away that can help, or we can also hire some more resources and try and get them on board. But obviously you also need to manage that with how long will it take someone to get on board, and what's the benefit versus the reward versus investment that you would get in that respect. Yeah,
I really like what you said there, because it's really might look like it's a good thing in a short term. Things are going faster, more things are done, But in the long term, this kind of performance usually means a burnout, and it can actually cost more money to the team, to the company on the long run.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Nailed it, Jethro. Let's go to the second one. And in the second question, we're going to talk about Bram. And you already talked about burnout, so that was a perfect transition. So Bram actually mentions that he feels like he's burning out. He says that his personal and also work lives are kind of blending in, and that obviously affects his performance. Did you have this situation in your team, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, this has actually been a personal situation that I've had before. So with COVID, obviously I was living in Amsterdam at the time, and me and my girlfriend at the time were sharing an apartment. It was a small apartment, and our dining room table became our office space, right? This is probably quite popular for most people. And what I found, it was an interesting observation, was that if I didn't have the ability to close the door or to shut down or to remove that idea that work is still there from my mind, it felt like you were in a continuous cycle of working all the time, right? That's when the blurb really comes into fray. So in this kind of situation, I would say to Bram, let's look at your work situation. You're working from home or you're working at the office. Maybe work a few more days at the office. That might be a solution, right? So that you can, at the end of the day, you leave your laptop at the office. When time's over, close your laptop, go home and think about something else. Do your own work. That's important, right? You have to create that. I find that mental separation doesn't really work. Some people can do it, that's fine, but in my opinion, it's better to have a physical separation, right? So now I live in a house where I have an office, and at the end of the day, I can shut down my computer and close the door, and that's like me closing the door on work for the day, right? That's a very important tool that I use, and I would say that for Bram, that's a good approach for him, is to shut the door on work for the day, shut down your mind, think about something else, and if it's still kind of blurring, I'd even recommend for Bram, let's take some time off of work even, let's completely let's remove technology. So even a technological detox is very important in this respect, right? So sometimes when you go away for a weekend, go to a festival, leave your phone at home, leave technology behind you, and just kind of forget about that for a while. You need to detox your mind from the work, and we live in a very information-rich environment at the moment, and sometimes it's good just to detox yourself from that.
Awesome. So what I hear is the advice to Bram is to try to separate his life from work as much as possible, and takes that time off and really try to be more independent from media, from data, from technology basically surrounding us all the time.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much. And the last question I have for you for today is actually about the whole team as a whole. And since it's our last episode, we wanted to celebrate it. And
yes.
Our team Alpha is actually succeeding in their milestone, and they finished their last milestone ahead of schedule.
Yes.
So everyone is, of course, happy. They're also exhausted.
Yeah.
People had some burnouts. People had some strategies. What do you do as a team lead? How do you make sure that this is celebrated?
Yeah, so I think a milestone is a really big accomplishment for any team, right? A lot of times we break up tasks into sprints or whatever the case may be, but milestones are really the ones where you've achieved something, you've given something to the client, and it's a big sign-off and kind of a very important moment to celebrate, right? Depending on your budget, I would say, I think that based on the information that we have about the team, right, burnout and struggling with work-life balance, putting in extra hours, for me, I think the best solution here would be to take a weekend away somewhere with the team. That would be really nice, like go to the beach or go, I remember in CBA last year, they took us to Sevilla, which is a really nice way to celebrate a successful year. And I really have fond memories of that trip. I think yourself included, right? So I think in that way, it's really good to kind of show how important it was to reach those milestones. So at the end of the day, you need to celebrate as a team. And in this situation, I'd probably choose like a weekend away or something like that. But it can also be smaller. It can be a dinner. It can be a fun activity. But definitely something that is low investment from the team and high investment from the company, right? You don't want it to be like, oh, we're going somewhere, but you need to do certain things in order to get that. No, it must be very low investment from the team side and very high investment from the company side to show your appreciation, right?
Yeah, I really like what you say, and it clicks with me because often we push ourselves for a client, for a project, and once one deadline is complete, you just pick up the next one and you just keep going until someone is done. So it's really important to stop, celebrate those wins, big ones, small ones, and indeed help show the appreciation to the team. So don't expect them to come up with stuff to celebrate, but actually help them get the resources necessary and make them feel great.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to celebrate almost everything, right?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the time, as you say, we even celebrate small milestones, celebrate everything from the beginning to the end, because when you do that, you show the team that what their work is valuable and important, and you really want that. You want people to come into the office and feel like what they're doing is valued and respected inside of the company, and the best way to do that is to celebrate your win.
Thank you a lot, Jethro. Let me summarize what we just talked about to the audience, and I'll get back to you. Yeah. So from today's conversation, I took notes, and there are 4 topics I would like to mention. First of all, working overtime. It might look like it's a good investment in a short time, but often it's a disaster for the team in the long term. Second, create a separation from work and home as much as possible for every team member. Encourage your team to use those leave days that they have. Also, celebrate big as well as small wins. This will create a positive atmosphere in the team, which will encourage collaboration and trust within the team. It's a good summary.
That's
Jethro.
it. You got it, man.
Awesome. Well, let's go and actually celebrate our little win.
Yes.
And let's go to the desk. Thank you a lot, Jethro, again. It was a pleasure as always. Lots of wisdom from you. Now we know how to celebrate our wins even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebrating wins is really important for any team.
Awesome and unbelievable, but this is our last episode of the season. And we have to celebrate it, right?
Yeah, definitely. The season
I
was a
brought
win, right?
Of course it was a win, so we got to celebrate the wins. And I got you a little present to celebrate it today.
Oh.
Ta-da!
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And
I hope you really enjoyed it. I was choosing really well.
thank
this
you.
bottle.
I can see that you put a lot of effort and thought
Yeah,
into this,
yeah.
because if I had to buy a bottle of wine for you, I would probably have bought the same one. It's quite a funny coincidence, because actually I did buy you one.
This is not staged at all. Completely not staged.
Completely not staged, yeah.
Awesome.
Guess
I
we're
think,
popping bottles tonight, huh?
yeah. I think we have enough to celebrate. Well, awesome. Thank you so much again for today and for opening our eyes to the work-life balance and how to celebrate the wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I think work-life balance is something that's maybe not seen in the same light. The Netherlands has a very good focus on work-life balance, and I think that could be extended to other parts of the world. People try and separate the two, but if you think about it, your day comprises of some work and some life. So to see them as two different things, I think is a little bit short-sighted in that respect. And also, I think when it comes to work-life balance, you have to really understand that anything that happens in your work life can affect your personal life and vice versa. So they are linked whether you want to see it or not. So it's better to acknowledge that and make sure that you're doing the right things to make sure you're healthy and productive.
Awesome. Thanks a lot again for your wisdom, Jethro. Unfortunately, this is our last episode of the season, but it's not the last time you're going to see us, because we are coming back in the season 2, where we're going to be talking more about technical side of being a team lead. And Jethro is going to help us again a lot with information. So if you like this episode, please like and subscribe, share it with your network. If you have any questions to us or to Jethro, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next season. Bye.
Bye.
Jethro, let's celebrate.
Yeah, that's good.